We all know there are many games in the world that have such great graphics. It's a pleasure just to look at them. But do these games with excellent graphics also provide good gameplay and an interesting storyline? Today, we'll talk about the top 10 most realistic graphic games that flop due to mistakes or bad storylines. The Order 1886. Set in an alternate history of steampunk London in 1886, the game follows the Knights of the Round Table as they battle to keep the world safe from werewolves, vampires, and fringe organizations rebelling against the government. It had an interesting concept, and the developers provided great graphics and a decent storyline, but they couldn't fix the bugs and glitches, and the gameplay didn't appeal to many gamers. This led to bad reviews. The game can be finished in 4 to 5 hours, which many found boring. That's why the game flopped terribly and couldn't achieve high ratings. Anthem. Set on a fictional planet called Coda, players assume the role of freelancers, heroic adventurers who wear powerful exosuits to defend humanity from threats beyond their city's walls. The graphics were very realistic, and a lot of attention was given to detailing. The concept of the game was pretty interesting, and I would have loved to play a character wearing a suit like Iron Man. However, despite the impressive graphics, the gameplay was boring. Although developer BioWare announced in February 2020 that they would reinvent the core gameplay of Anthem as part of a long-term plan, all future development was ceased in February 2021. Unfortunately, the game failed to meet commercial expectations. Resident Evil Resistance. I'm not exactly sure when this game came out or when people started disliking it. But yes, a game called Resident Evil Resistance was released based on a completely different storyline. It involved 4 survivor players competing against a mastermind player who could create traps, enemies, and other hazards. Although its graphics were pretty impressive, similar to Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake, gamers didn't like its outbreak mode. Most people found it unbalanced since the game had no dedicated servers, and sometimes it would lag horribly. As a result, the game flopped. Battlefield 2042. The Battlefield series is known for its combat gameplay and massive frame rates, making it quite popular. However, the 2021 release of Battlefield 2042 garnered significant attention due to its realistic graphics, extreme combat, and large, expansive maps, creating a lot of hype among viewers. Despite that, after its release, the game received mixed reviews from critics and a more negative reception from players due to technical issues, lack of features, and certain gameplay changes. It failed to meet Electronic Arts' sales expectations. A new Battlefield installment is currently under development under Motive Studio, which raises hope that developers will provide something better in the future. Marvel Avengers. The hype around Marvel Avengers was on a completely different level. Even I was super excited about it because everyone loves playing characters like Thor, Iron Man, and Hulk. But the game couldn't live up to gamers' expectations. It received mixed reviews upon release. Critics praised its story and combat, but criticized its repetitive nature, lack of substantial content, and technical issues. Worldwide, the game sold only 3 million copies, and it was even delisted from digital stores, a major disappointment. Assassin's Creed Unity. As we all know, the Assassin's Creed series is considered one of the best open-world games, and Assassin's Creed Unity is a prime example of how realistic and attractive the graphics look. But this game was only good in terms of appearance. When it comes to gameplay and storyline, it was a total disaster. There were so many bugs and glitches that sometimes it made you want to quit the game altogether. Even on PC, it wasn't well optimized, which is why it didn't work smoothly. Due to a bad storyline, bugs, and glitches, the game flopped. Ubisoft had to issue an apology and offer compensation in the form of a free expansion. Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk was one of those games that had an entirely different level of hype at the time of its release. People were eagerly waiting for it. The realistic graphics, modes, and story made people think it would be one of the best games in the world. However, after its release, it was widely criticized for bugs and glitches, especially in the console versions, which suffered from performance issues. The game didn't perform well on either Xbox or PlayStation. In fact, Sony removed the game from the PlayStation Store from December 2020 to June 2021, which was a huge failure. However, the developers have now improved the game and re-released it, along with launching a Cyberpunk anime series. This helped the game regain popularity. Rise, Son of Rome. Rise follows the life of Roman centurion Marius Titus as he rises to become one of the leaders of the Roman legion. Gameplay revolves around Marius using his sword to strike enemies and his shield to deflect attacks. The game's execution sequences, which were quick-time events, extended combat scenes. The graphics were quite realistic, but the game still flopped. It was criticized for its short length, repetitive and simple gameplay, and linear design. Every new mission felt too similar to the previous one. Even Crytek's CEO admitted that he was unsatisfied with the game's sales. Killzone Shadowfall. If we talk about graphics, providing such high-quality graphics in 2013 was no small feat. The game takes place 30 years after the events of Killzone 3, following new characters like Lucas Kellen, a Shadow Marshal investigating a rising threat in the ongoing war between Vecta and the Helghast. As the first game in the series made for Sony's next-gen console, it became one of the best-selling games of 2013. Despite this, the game faced criticism for its single-player mode, several gameplay features, and lack of innovation, especially since it was one of the first 8th-generation games. The Dark Pictures anthology, Man of Medan. This is essentially a horror game. Man of Medan's suspense revolves around 4 college students and the captain of a boat, the Duke of Milan, who embark on a diving trip in search of the remains of a World War II-era plane. Players make decisions based on their character's head or heart, or can choose for them to do nothing. It's essentially a decision-making game. People didn't quite grasp how a question-and-answer type game could be valuable in a world filled with combat and adventure games. Since 2000, gamers have only preferred games that have action or tough puzzles. Man of Medan flopped because of its simple gameplay and players didn't enjoy it much. So these were some games that had high expectations but turned out to be total disasters after their release. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a like, and to learn more amazing gaming facts, don't forget to subscribe to Moisishin. Thanks for watching!